Hello, hello. Welcome to your live player ratings for Arsenal 3, Brighton 0. We played, you know what? We got what we needed to get. And that's pretty much all that matters. Listen, I actually think that I will look back on this performance and think a lot more fondly of it in later on. During it, especially the first half, I was a little bit frustrated with what I was seeing, but I think that's mostly just nerves now. It's more nerves that like we're not winning right away. Do you know what I mean? So, um, or that it's a little bit harder for us to score the goals initially. I think those last 2 or 3 months where we were scoring for fun and scoring 6-7-0 and things like that really, really spoiled me. So now, especially since things are a lot more stressful, I do think I will look back on these matches a little bit more fondly afterwards. But I do think that that was a really good team performance. I think that Brighton are an awkward opponent for us because they play similar to us. And they're very clever on the ball. They know how to find the space. De Zerbi is a good coach, blah, 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 blah. So what we end up doing is sometimes playing the more humble role of sitting in our shape and allowing them to just pass the ball meaninglessly, you know, sideways and backwards. And when we win it, then we try to counter. Sometimes those things are incredibly uncomfortable. And at times I felt like I was watching Arsenal versus City again with them having so much possession. That being said, we created a lot of really good opportunities that in the first half we probably should have been 3 or 4 nil up. Actually, I'm probably gassing a little bit. We probably should have been 2 or 3 up. We had the better opportunities, and in the second half they had even less openings than in the first. But I will say that we worked incredibly hard today. We were humble. We weren't too good to do the dirty work. The defensive performance at the end was fantastic from the likes of Gabriel and Saliba. I thought Saliba was magnificent today. And I thought that, some of the players that hadn't gotten a lot of minutes got some minutes today, which is useful. Um, and I thought a couple of performances really stood out. So we're going to talk about those. So make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel while I finish setting everything up. If you guys were on the watch along, you guys know that I was freaking struggling making this thumbnail. It's not even the right freaking picture because I couldn't do anything on Canva. I was struggling so much, you guys, seriously. So yes, it's a picture from a different game, but you guys get the picture. We won, and that's all that freaking matters, right? And so I can't wait to hear what you guys are thinking about everything. It's so funny that I want to say this very uh frankly, sometimes your legends are not really your legends. Sometimes they're just big of haters as rivals are. And Lee Dixon, I'm sorry, you can suck it. Seriously, the amount of, him trying to pretend as though that was not a clear-cut penalty. It was a stonewall penalty. When I watched it with no sound at all. And it's not just honestly, I was like, this is just as clear of a penalty that we've gotten almost all season. I think the only other one that was even more clear was I think the one that Nketiah got against Bournemouth earlier on in the season away from home, where it was just it was such an obvious penalty. I was like, okay, it doesn't even need to be reviewed. But for Lee Dixon to be sitting there saying, I don't think it's even a foul. I don't even think it's even a foul. He got the ball. How about you shut the fuck up? How about you go find something else to do? Because if you can't see that that is a stonewall penalty, I don't know. It's he's always looking at things from a lens of in the olden days that wouldn't have been a foul and blah blah blah. Well, in the olden days, who cares? Things have changed, and quite frankly, even in the olden days, I think that that's just a clear penalty. Be serious for 5 seconds. He's always defending the fullback's right to just completely miss the ball and or tap it ever so slightly, but still take out the player. He is living on a freaking other planet. Like I said, sometimes your legends are not really your legends. They are rivals in disguise. Genuinely, Lee Dixon is my biggest enemy. He is my sworn nemesis. I can't stand him. I'm not saying that every single legend needs to be like Ian Wright, but can you at least be like fucking normal for 5 seconds? It's a clear penalty. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, now that I've gotten that off my chest, I'm gonna read your guys' comments in a second. I do wanna get a poll up for man of the match, which obviously I should have had up already, but listen, I'm a one-woman show here. I don't have anybody helping me. So going from, like, YouTube to the watch along and back here, this is my 3rd stream today, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay. So, just bear with me. I'm gonna put up a couple of like obvious shouts for man of the match. And you guys can go ahead and vote yourselves. And let me know what you guys think. I can't wait to get into it because that was a massive win for us. I know it's like every single game is like a massive game. Every single game is a must win. Every single game is a massive blah blah blah. But Brighton are such a awkward opponent for us. Every time that we play against them, I do feel like there are times where I feel like we are being arsenaled. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're being arsenaled. Like, no possession. They have it all. What am I watching on my screen right now? I see Tim Howard and the two Robbies singing with cowboy hats on. They are fully going in. This is amazing. This is amazing. What am I watching? I love content like that. I do. But yeah, I think that like sometimes when you don't have a lot of possession or you don't have all the possession and the other team is getting these, having these good spells and they're cutting through you at some moments, like it is frustrating. It is a little bit unnerving, especially when you have chances you're not putting them away. What I will say is that I want to see what the XG look like because I don't actually think Brighton had a lot of good chances. I think once they reached our box, they either fluffed their lines or they made poor decisions or we defended them really well. So were we under a lot of threat? No, I think Raya made a good save for the one good chance that they had. But we had such good opportunities that were a lot more clear cut than they did. So, yeah, I know that I saw some rivals like saying that Brighton are unreal and Arsenal are playing poor. But I just feel like when you watch from the rivals' lens, all you see is the opportunities that they're getting. We genuinely were not under that much threat. They had a lot of possession that was quite meaningless, that didn't end up being anything. And I think we managed a lot of those moments really well. And it was kind of like our typical game. We went out there, we got the goal, penalty. The second goal that we created was getting into the half space, looking up and finding the tap in. And then the third one was once they were pushing forward. Um, Kai lays it off to Trossard, which is really good defensive work from Trossard. He nicks the ball, runs through. Kai hits it to him, perfect speed on the ball and everything. And Trossard puts it in the back of the net. So it was a very professional performance. It really was. Like, it was genuinely very professional. It was better than the Luton performance, which I do think that a lot of that had to do with changes, but we have to also address some of the changes that we did make, and did those work out? How did you feel about those? Before the game, there was a lot of uneasiness around Zinchenko starting, and we had spoke about this pre-match that I was like, he does need to get minutes. I still feel like there are going to be times where we may want to use Zinchenko. I don't think it's like we need him to start for Bayern. I don't think he will. I don't think he should. Um, but I do think his performance today highlighted why people are so uneasy about him playing, is that not only is he a very easy target, but even in possession, he makes mistakes and he's very he does a lot of unnecessary shit that like just puts us under pressure for no reason. And then it's like when he wants to be on the ball, it's like all of a sudden the natural thing that we would do with Raya being on the ball, the natural thing, Gabriel being on the ball, they're just laying it off to Zinchenko and he's kind of orchestrating things and he's not sharp enough or confident enough at the moment where those things are coming off. So I think that he kind of highlighted why people are uneasy about him playing so many minutes. I'm not quite ready to throw in the full towel on Zinchenko this season for sure. Like, I'm definitely somebody that's like, you know, but I do think that like he's firmly not a starter, and that's for sure. Against Bayern, I genuinely think we go with our bigs. We go with our Tommies, we go with our Kiviors back there, and I also think we go with Kai and hope to God that Martinelli is fit enough, because I also think that Jesus was he did win the penalty. I know somebody's gonna be like, but Jess, he won the penalty. But Saka also scored the penalty, and I think both of them had very lukewarm oatmeal performances. Like, there wasn't a lot of to them, not a lot of snap, not a lot of going on. Saka missed an opportunity that he definitely should be burying. Jesus missed a header that was just like typical him, like overdoing something that should be a little bit more simple. He had one where he headed it across, which I was like, are you passing it or are you shooting with your head? Basically, are you trying to score? Are you trying to lay it off to somebody else? He had another one where he scuffed it and it went wide. I just found his performance to be like, okay, like Trossard, I'm not upset with you coming on because it's not like Jesus is adding that much more. And Saka was again like not great, So um I'm glad they got minutes. It looks like Saka maybe got kicked again, whatever, So we'll just have to see. But right now in wide areas, it's not the best, We really need our wide men to have more important performances, I feel. Amon says Brighton 0.5, Arsenal 3.38. So again, they didn't really have any chances. Like, I know that they had territory and they had possession, but we all know that we've had performances like that and created nada. Nada. We've nothing. And that's the same thing that Brighton had today, which is fine. AJ says Odegaard is such an important player. I think Odegaard had some really good moments where he was able to receive the ball under pressure and release that pressure by being calm on the ball. And one thing about us this season that I am finding to be a little bit interesting, like just seeing the differences between last season and this season, is that I think that where we have gained so much in our off the ball work and our defensive work and our ability to compete physically, we've lost a little bit of that calmness on the ball. And I think that that's like a direct, changing like Partey and Xhaka for Rice and someone else. And so there's just a little bit less of that like calmness on the ball. We had too many people that were kicking it, not able to keep possession, heavy passes, long passes that were going too far, bad touches. And so is that trade-off worth it? We'll know at the end of the season, I guess. Like, we didn't win the way that we were playing last season. We may not win the way that we're playing this season. We're still incredibly good, but we just do things in a different way. But I do find in games like this, when we're playing against other technical sides like City and like Brighton, we're kind of a little bit like not calm enough on the ball, you know? And so to make those decisions, to be able to like have them come in on us and then pass the ball off without any sort of like scariness, I don't know if that's making sense. I feel like we are very against like the cities and the Brightons, we're a little bit prone to coughing up the ball under any sort of like pressure, so it was interesting. But Odegaard is one of the few players that we have, I feel like, that does thrive in small spaces, that can receive the ball under pressure and make the right decision. He'll pass it back sometimes, he'll pass it, just lay it off to somebody into space. And I think he had a quietly good game where we had to do a lot more of the tempo and going deep and getting us up the pitch. Like, he was doing some different things there. So I think he had a quietly good game, to be honest. Amon said we cooked them. We were the better team. So, which I expect us to be. Jagoon says Kaiser Kai on fire today. He was good today. Deshego says Gabriel and Saliba, wow, wow, wow. Another good performance from them. Another clean sheet. I love that. Martin says Brighton were playing like us a couple of years ago, got all the possession but couldn't get the killer ball into the box. And, you know, there's nothing there's nothing admirable about having a lot of possession and not being able to penetrate. And I think that Arteta has found a way to have us play where we can play against teams like this and absorb and really keep them from being able to hurt us. It's hard work. It's humbling. You have to be able to like sit in your shape and be humble, like really, because it's not fun being the team without the possession. A lot of people view possession as dominance and being the better side. So against City and Brighton today, we have seen us be very humble, drop into our shape, be patient, win the ball off of them and try to counter. Sometimes it's worked out. Today, sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. Today, it worked out really well for us. So, you know, it was a very professional performance. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. No real warning signs. We had a couple of, like, shaky moments in the first 10 minutes, but beyond that, I thought we were really good. So, um, I just wanted us to get that second goal to, like, fully put it away, and I love that. Brian says, "Another weekend, another ass whooping. Come on, you Gunners." I love that. Thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate that. Johnny says, "LFC favorites right now. If they don't win tomorrow, they won't be any more pressure on." And that's just what we have to keep doing, is putting them under pressure. Um, it's tough watching your rivals just kind of like you're wondering if they're ever gonna drop points, but, we just have to keep staying as close as we possibly can and focusing on ourselves as much as possible. But just kind of how, like, City did to us, where they just kind of kept winning and just almost dared us to drop points. We kinda have to be like that with Liverpool, because right now they probably have the easiest run in, but, you know, let them drop points against, United tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at. Matthew says, "No card for Havertz, yippee." Very, very good thing for us. He is really showing us to be, showing to be our best center forward option going into the run in, which you can't say he doesn't deserve. We've talked about this many, many times, but until something changes with other people that can play in that position, it's Kai's to lose. He scored a goal today. He got an assist today. He threw himself about. He's one of the most informed players in Europe right now. It's his to lose. Johnny D says, "Why are we talking about players without player ratings? Let's start the ratings." The reason why I don't start the ratings right away is because I want the show to be an hour long at the very least, if not more, because that's what you guys deserve, to allow people to come in, um, that are coming in late. So I like to review the game a little bit more at the beginning for at least the first 20-25 minutes, and then we go into player ratings. So it's a method to my madness. Because we'll go over it again. Like, we got time. But yeah, this is how I do my shows. Chosen One says, "Nobody will give Saka praise for scoring a go ahead pen away from home in the title race, but boy, if he missed it, 17 goals and 13 assists now for Starboy." I think people were worried. I was saying this on the watch along, is that Saka missed two penalties, right? He missed the one in the Euros, which I throw away because I'm just like, he was young and he really shouldn't have been up there to begin with. Um, but the one in the run-in against West Ham, I think, stands out. And despite the fact that he scored so many penalties since then, they're still like this, he's not going to score. But, I feel confident with Saka taking the penalties. I feel like he's done enough good to make me feel like he's going to put it in the back of the net. Like, I'm not going to hold that one that he scored or he missed against West Ham against him. Kevy Kev says, happy days, just 3-0 to the Arsenal. Ruiz says, "Checked in to drop a like. Great win. Love from Angola. Thank you so much." Um, Diehard Gunner says, "Jesus was excellent today again." Who thinks that Jesus was excellent? Like, I don't I don't think I don't think he played that great today, if I'm honest. I don't know how to describe it. I have to rewatch the game. I can't wait to rewatch the game. Because I feel like when I rewatch the game, I'll see different things and I'll see maybe this great performance, but I think there's also like yeah, he won the penalty. He was great the whole game. I don't think he was. I think our wide men were kind of quiet for the majority of the game, but they were both instrumental for the first goal, Saka and Jesus, and they deserve credit for that. But a great performance, not so much. He missed two really good opportunities, to be honest. So I think it was probably somewhere between, like, probably a good performance more than anything. Kev says, "I don't think Jesus was excellent today." Aman said, "Good performance from Jesus today." Tashego says his hold up play was above the rest, to be fair. Jack Lee says Jesus needs more games. He's a great player. Probably, I think he does need more games. I think he does need more games, but where the game's gonna come from, you know? I don't know. Lucas says he needs at least one of those headers on target. Yeah, those were, like, bad misses in my opinion. Like, you should be at least putting them on target. Sammy says, "Also, I feel like the way he takes the penalties improved a lot this season." Saka's been good at this penalties this season. Like, sometimes you have to let old shit go. There's no reason to hold that against him. Like, that was one penalty a year ago. Like, since then he's taken what, 7 or 8? Maybe more? So, yeah. Let's see. Tawana says he was okay. Edward says, "I do think he was great today." Jude K says, "Jesus was all right." Kent says, "He was fair." Um, Amon says, "I thought he had a good game in my opinion." I can't wait to rewatch this one because maybe I feel like my opinion might change after I see it without all the emotion attached to it, but my overall feeling was that the wide men were a little quiet. Um, Kai was good and ended up being the man of the match, especially with second half performance. Uh, Midfield was a little disjointed, but worked in the end. We defended great. Saliba and Gabriel were amazing. That's kind of my feeling on the game. Um, Let's see. Aman says Saliba deserves praise for today. He was good defensively and also cool and collected on the ball. I think that was one of his best performances of the season, Saliba, so far, like this season. I think this is one of his best. Probably like below the bigger games that we've played, but I think today was the first game in a long time where I felt like he was look like Saliba, like at his peak, at his pinnacle, like the best he can be. So yeah, I thought Saliba was really, really good. Really, really good. Kevin says, excellent game from Jesus today. Can improve his finishing, but overall game was good. Fair enough. And Jack Lee says something is up with him. Can't believe Saka missed that cutback. Um, yeah, I don't know. DJ Khaled says, hey, Jess, who's your man of the match? Love from the Netherlands. My man of the match is Kai. And second would have been Saliba. It could have been either one of those. They were both really good today. Kevin says, I hope Zinni doesn't start against Bayern. No disrespect to him, but I want Tommy or Kivior to start. I think Arteta would be insane to start him against Sane. I just don't. I can't see how you would, you know. So yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like it's got to be Kivior or Tommy. I feel like depends on what Jorginho is like too, because he looked a little tired at the end of the game, but I don't know what his fitness really is because I'm not behind the scenes. So I think the midfield will be Rice, Odegaard, and someone. The back line will be White, Saliba, Gabriel, and someone. And up front, we just don't know, except for we know it's going to be Saka and Kai. It could be Jesus off of the left. It could be Trossard off of the left. It could be Martinelli off of the left. I think we all want Martinelli. Um, he would be the best. And he looked like he cooked somebody at the end there for Brighton, which was nice. But yeah, you just never really know. So everybody's saying that Sane is out, so that would be great. Still wouldn't start Zinni though. Unknown C says, "What's good, Jess? Another 3 points in the bag." Was cursing first half with all the missed chances, but second half we turned up, subs secured the win. I like that comment. I think the first half was a little nerve wracking, but now, we're feeling good because we got the business done. We were good today. You were good today. Martin N says, my man of the match is always Odegaard. I just love how hard he pressed, whether it was the first minute or the 89th minute. Yeah, Odegaard was good today. Kevin says, Jess, who do you think has had a better season, Saliba or Gabriel? I think it's Gabriel, and I don't even think it's really a conversation. That doesn't mean that Saliba's not been great. He's been fantastic, but I think Gabriel is looking like one of the best center backs in football, in the league for sure, has had the season of his life, scoring goals, being the leader back there, being our Marshall back there. So it's not a slight on Saliba at all. I think when people hear that, they hear, oh my God, Jessica hates Saliba. I don't. I think Gabriel he's probably like our player of the season. I just look at I mean, he has been damn near perfect since he signed his new deal in October of last season. He made mistakes at the beginning of that season, but since then, he has been out of this world. It's not even just this season, it's last season. He started off this season on the bench for some reason. Now, he's playing and he's been so available and sturdy and what you're going to get from him. Good on the ball. He's just been really good, so yeah, and it's really the partnership of the two that makes us strong. So, I know we have these conversations all the time about who's better and who's had a better season. It really doesn't matter that much. I think it matters a little bit for Gabriel Nation because they want him to get the the plaudits that he deserves, which I think is fair. But ultimately, it's the combination of the two that make us so strong. I don't think either is as strong without the other. So that's all that really matters. You know, I thought they were both good. Blaze says Gabriel has had a better season than our leader defender. Saliba is also a good player. Sammy says Neuer, Sane, Coman could all be out on Tuesday, according to Tuchel. That'd be great. Johnny D says that Gabriel header miss was worse than the Jesus, both just saying whistle. Yeah, I think it was worse. It was probably a better chance. That doesn't mean that Gabriel Jesus's chances were not bad misses. And also, one is a center back, and the other one is supposed to be a striker. So oh, and Gabriel has more goals than him this season. So, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you can try to flip it whatever way you want to. Gabriel missing a wide open chance or a good header, opportunity does not mean that Gabriel Jesus's were not bad misses. So it's whataboutism doesn't work. Nocturnal Gunner says Gabriel Hive, we move. John Donut says King Kai man of the match for me. And so yeah, it was a really, really good win for us today. I think it took the wind out of the sails of rivals. I know they were watching with bated breath, hoping that they would do something, and it didn't work. So pressure is on Liverpool now, and we're going to go ahead and get into our player ratings. There are 325 of you guys in here. Please smash the likes. Please subscribe, set notifications, and most importantly, get into the comment section and give me your guys' ratings. This is where, you know, it's so interesting when you see like fives and then you see sevens and you see nines. Like, we all have different views of how the game went. And this is the most interesting thing to me, is that I could have seen somebody having a poor performance, and some of you guys will think he was the best player out there on the pitch. And then we get to argue. So let's go. All right. Raya, good game. Calm on the ball. No real problems there. Put him under a lot of pressure in this game, to be honest. There were so many moments where he had to really concentrate, make sure he didn't make any mistakes. And he probably had our best in between the lines passes from anybody today. That went to Odegaard in the first half, made a really good save in the first half. That was going in the net. And so for people that are like, can he make a save? Yeah, you can make a save. Other than that, we really suppressed them to basically nothing. And so it was like a typical situation. Ryan makes the one save that he needs to make. Good distribution, claims his crosses, keeps things calm back there. Clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet. So I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm going to give him a 7. I would just give him a 7, but I'm going to give him the 0.5 for the save. Yes, Raya can save. Let's be serious. So, Sib says, just on the save alone, I would give him an 8. I love how Raya is always calm in the box. Cal says 10 out of 10. Amon says 8 out of 10. Rumi says Raya 7, needs to improve his kicking though. Johnny D says Raya 8 out of 10. 2 sensational saves, clean sheet. Told you 4 months ago he's clear of Ramsdale. Collect. Listen, ain't nobody collected nothing off of me when it comes to Raya. I was in the Raya Wars. I was the head. I was up there with my knife and my shield, first person in line, going towards everybody else. I'm sorry. Raya was always like, it always made sense to me why he would end up being the number one. you know? And now we're seeing it. It doesn't mean that he's perfect, right? Like, I'm not even saying that Raya is perfect. He was somebody that I was like, since we've come back from international break, I do feel like I haven't seen, maybe he's dropped just like even like a percentage. So I want him to go back up to the player that was post Dubai. Today was a lot more like that person. He still had some dodgy, kicks out and stuff like that. But for the most part, what he didn't do is encourage any sort of bullshit. He didn't encourage Brighton to do anything. He claimed his crosses. He made the save that he needed to make. He had some good distribution amongst some like not so great. So all in all, he did what he needed to do, right? So Raya, I don't know, like he just he's a really good option for us. I'm glad we got him. Zahid says Raya 7, solid claiming and playing out was calm. Sammy said had an amazing save. O'Malley said his distribution was much better today. Unknown C says Raya 7.5, good save first half, keeps it calm. Graham says really good save from Raya just before the halftime. So yeah, I think he was good. Yeah, I think, yeah, it was great. White, my gosh, the man is just fully on his demon time, isn't he? I mean, it's like when a Estupinian hit him in the face, he did something against Grealish too, where he flopped on the ground. Every team, good team, has a player like Ben White that's not afraid to get into the dark arts, to get into your head, to make you feel stupid. And I think he had some moments going forward where I wish he would have picked a better cross, but I think ultimately he had a good game going forward and defending. Ben is just a really like funny player. He's just so funny. Every good team has a player like this. And everybody hates all the rivals hate him. Everybody on the planet hates him, but we fucking love him. Everybody has a player like that, and I'm glad we have one now. Everybody should be more like Ben, you know? Be a little bit of a bastard. I love it, So, Ben, I thought had a good game. Nothing like, like scream, shout. Like it wasn't like the most amazing, but it was like definitely a very good performance from him. So I'm gonna give him a 7.5 as well. I thought he was good. I should give him more points for the shithousery because that just made me die. Like I was just like, because he had one against Grealish too, where he pretended he was Grealish and just fell on the ground, and I was just like, I fucking love this. Everybody has a player like this, and I'm glad we have Ben. Amon says, White's dark arts are truly one of a kind. I love him, man. Trevor says, we win. Let's move on to the next. Tawana says, no 8. Kazini, what is a 6? Shaquille says, Ben White was superb today. How no one talking about his performance. Mark says Benny is an absolute teaser. Obrizi says, White is my favorite player. He might be the first dark arts player we've had in ages. And it's just, I'm glad it's coming from him. I'm glad it's him because the nonsense that people say about him, I'm just like, you guys know damn well that he's a good player. You're pretending he's not because he's an Arsenal player. You guys know he's good. If he had on a light blue kit or a dark blue kit, or some other version of a red kit, you guys would be, oh my God, he's so amazing and he's English and he should be on the team. Yeah. It's Arsenal. Arsenal tax is the only reason why he's not rated as much as he should be because he's just, I love him. I'm glad he's ours. Saliba, Kai is my man of the match, but Saliba was also a man of the match to me. I thought he looked like, as young as he is, this is going to sound so stupid, but like vintage Saliba, where it was just like he was unplayable. He made no mistakes. He was just so calm on the ball. He was perfect. So I loved his performance today. I thought he was amazing. I'm actually feeling incredibly generous. I'm going to give him a 9 today. I thought this was one of Saliba's best performances, and I can't wait to watch it back. Because he was really good. I have another 9 too that I'm gonna give out too, but I thought Saliba was really, really good. Aman says Saliba 9. Rumi says Saliba 8. Obrizi said Saliba, wow, he was faultless. Zahid says 8, just monstro. Martin says Willow 8.5. Samful says 9. O'Malley says unflustered. Sammy says 8.5. Yeah, I thought, you know, he really just stood tall today, in a way that I haven't seen in a while. And again, that doesn't mean I thought he was playing terrible. It's just like he just dropped like maybe 2%, and so yeah, he was great. Gabriel, I'm gonna give first of all, I thought Gabriel was really good too. Like, by the way, like I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm like, just cut it short. I'm gonna give him an 8.5. I thought playing through whatever little injury he got, I thought, you know, uh, he really just fights and battles for the team, the way he celebrates, tackles, the way that he really just like loves the clean sheet and loves defending, very much so like a nostalgic, like vintage type defender where you need that. You need the smooth and silk plus the hard and like vicious. Like you need those two things to balance out yin and yang. And both of them have characteristics of each other as well. It's not just that Gabriel is the, monstro back there. It's also that like he can play out from the back, right? And Saliba, he can be a little bit more nasty, but he's smooth, so they balance each other out very well. And it's all about the partnership. And I think, obviously agendas are always front and center when it comes to like football Twitter and stuff like that, Arsenal Twitter, whatever. But genuinely, it's about the partnership. It's so important. It's more important than just individual nonsense. Like genuinely, both of them are so, so good. And I thought Gabriel was also very good. Saliba just a little better, but who cares? You know? So it is what it is. I thought he was good as well. Now, probably where I know some low ass scores are gonna come out is Zinchenko. Um, he just I don't know. Like, I was just like, bruh, like just bruh. Like when he's out there, first of all, him and Jorginho are so fucking redundant. I don't like it. Like, I don't feel like you need both Jorginho and Zinchenko ever in an 11. Ever. Um, and they don't balance each other out well. So when they're in the pivot next to each other, you have two legless, slow, ponderous on the ball types that want to do very similar things in similar areas. And so I just find them to be like quite like, okay, so why do we have both of them out there? I think that's why like Zinchenko Partey pivot is better because Partey does different things than Zinchenko, where I think Jorginho and Zinchenko try to do same things. That being said, bro, just pass the fucking ball. Like, just pass it and pass it to us. What he does that is like he gets onto it and then it's like he wants it rolled out to him and then he just stands on it and then he passes it to somebody, runs out of position, the other person doesn't get it to him or he doesn't give them a good enough pass and then they're off going the other direction down in his pocket. I already knew that Brighton were going to really target that area, which, is always going to be the case when he's there. But so I always like accept that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to happen. What I cannot accept is somebody that is supposed to be really good on the ball, not being reliable with, the rock. Like, I really just can't do it, So, um, yeah, I don't feel like he did anything to, like, change any minds, and I don't think he ever will. I genuinely think, like, from a fan perspective, if you don't like him, you're not gonna like him. Like, there's just too many things that have happened. We spoke about the Liverpool, nutmeg, where I think, like, that was pretty much where they put him in the coffin anyway, and then they, closed it up with the IG story, so I don't think he's gonna change anybody's mind, but ultimately, the performances are not doing anything to save you either. I know he lacks sharpness, and I think, like, people are not being as fair to him as they are with everybody else. Partey and Jesus and all of them are getting so much time to gain their sharpness, but Zinchenko doesn't. But there's just something about when we had Kivior in there, and that sometimes when we have Tommy in there that just gives, like, that cool, calm. There is no emergency. It's just like, And so, yeah, Zinchenko is definitely like third choice for sure. He didn't do anything to really help himself out. He had one moment where I genuinely thought I was gonna just end the stream where they made a poor pass to his side of the pitch and it went straight to him, and all he had to do was trap it and pass it to someone else, even fucking hoof it. And he took a bad touch, let it bobble underneath, and then gave up a meaningless corner. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when you give them easy possession or you give them like an easy corner or something because you just fucked up. Like, there's no reason why Brighton should have gotten a corner from that moment. And so not only do I think that he's trying to assume a role that he kind of can't do right now, he is unsure of himself. And so somebody that's going to be on the ball a lot needs to be very, very secure on the ball. Right now, he's not. And so with the defensive issues, you also have this uncertainty on the ball that is causing chaos. And so, yeah, it was not a good performance from him. I'm going to give him a 6. It wasn't like catastrophic, but it definitely was like, yeah, you can go back to the bench. Yeah, you know, you go back to the bench. Yeah, so I'm going to give him a 6. It was yeah. I will always give Zinchenko I know what he can do on the ball, but when he's not doing it, it's really hard to back him, So there you go. Diehard Gunner says Zinchenko was a solid 7. Tawana says, I think because we're so great defensively and him being poor will always be on his case. Jack Lee says, I don't want to listen to the damn announcers saying they're really going to be targeting Zinchenko ever. Um, Let's see. Wayne says he was pissing me off today. The Dude Diary says, to be fair, Jess, I don't think Jorginho played his usual role today. Zinni and Rice allowed him to play higher up the pitch. It was interesting to watch, in my opinion. I want to rewatch it and see it again. I just feel like there's something about that doesn't work for what I'm looking at. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like when you have, you know, like Kivior back there, then it's just like Rice and Jorginho are doing the midfielding the way that it should be done. But when you add Zinchenko in, something was just a little, you know, weird, but that could just be me. Um, So I can't wait to rewatch. Martin says, I think we have to accept that Zinni is going to make defensive mistakes like this. The problem is he's supposed to give us more control in midfield, which I felt he didn't do this game. And that is exactly how I feel, Martin. It's I know we're going to be dealing with the defensive issues. I know that. And some people will be like, well, why do we even have to deal with it? I'm like, because he's a player on the team and Arteta likes him and trusts him, right? So he's going to be in the game at some points. And so with different players, especially like when you get down to your third choice left back, right? Your third choice left back is never going to be as good as the second or first. That's why he's third. So he's obviously going to have more obvious flaws than the others. So his biggest flaw is the defensive attributes, right? But when you're not adding anything to the midfield vibe, that's where I can't get with it. I can't get with it. I need you to do more, right? So he was okay. It just, yeah. It was just, yeah, it was what it was, right? Georgie got an assist, worked really hard. I thought in the first half was not his best, but again, I think having Zinchenko in there, it changed his role. And then him and Rice were not working together in the way that, like, there was times where Odegaard was pressing and they would easily bypass our press because there was neither Georgie or Rice in that position to be like the next man pressuring. But Jorginho was way back in the center backs, right? Or Rice was too far back or whatever. There was just a lack of something in there. And so I thought the first half was more that. In the second half, he was better. Not necessarily like on the ball, like he wasn't really chefing it up like we know Jorginho can, but in terms of winning the ball back, being in the right position, keeping from Brighton from being able to break. And then obviously he comes up with a really good assist. The first person that I felt like actually picked their freaking head up when they got into the half space and found somebody. Thank you, Jorginho. And so I thought he had a good game, especially more in the second half. So I'm going to give Georgie like a 7.5. Like it could be a little bit lower. I think it's like more like a 7.2, like something like that, like somewhere not quite an 8, because the first half was a little sucky, but the second half made up for it, and that assist definitely made up for it. So well done. Well done. Martin N says 7.5 for Uncle Georgie. Lucas says mixed performance, was done badly once or twice. I agree with that. I just don't think the spacing was right. Like the spacing was very much like I don't really see our midfield that open. And I just feel like there was just a lack of there was too many people, like there was just too much going on there, and I think that was just adding Zinni in made that kind of happen, because you just never really see that when it's just Jorginho and Declan. We're really tight and they know what they're supposed to be doing, where today it was just a little off. Travis says Zinni is shaky and we need to get rid of him this summer. Let's see. Diehard says very slow, a poor first half. Jorginho gets a 7 out of 10. First half, I hated him. Lucas says I actually thought he was good on the ball in the first half. Tony says, hi, Jess. Hello, Tony. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you made it. Elliot says Jorginho 8, good performance with an assist from a regista. So yeah, there was that. And looking at the way like he was looking, I mean, obviously we have time to talk about this. And Partey was not used at all. Partey could genuinely start against Bayern, genuinely. So that's something to look at, Jorginho did he play the full 90 today? So yeah, like he played a lot of minutes today. So, but Arteta's definitely tried to like spread the minutes around. You can see that. So, yeah, not a great first half, but definitely like a much better second half. Got the assist, so it was what it was. Rice, I thought he got done one time in the midfield, and I was like, oh shit. But other than that, I thought that he did a lot of good defensive work. I wanted to see more of him, attacking. I felt like he wasn't really involved as much as I would have loved to him to have been in the first half. And I just, I feel like the strength of having him in the 8 role is that you can give it to him and he can kind of just like r- kind of steamroll people. And I didn't find like again, I thought Jorginho and Rice's performances were very ghost like, at times because like they just weren't in it. So but he had a good shot in the second half. He won the ball back quite a few times. Like, he stopped some of their moments to some last ditch tackles and stuff like that. But I would say that this was probably like a meh, like, like one of those like where we won the game. It was fine. I thought he was good, but nothing to write home about. So I'm gonna give him a 7. Yeah, it was just one of those, you know. The Dude Diary says Rice also got done just above our penalty area and got lucky. Martin N says Rice almost got a goal. Let's see. Travis says Baliba turned Rice. Odegaard was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it definitely happens. Tony says Rice defensive work got lost since the ball always seemed landed to an opponent's foot. Um, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was just one of those, where I mean, he's still gonna start every single game, so it's not gonna change anything. But, I don't yeah, he got done that one time. It just something about the midfield was not right, and so I feel like everybody's performance was impacted in midfield because there was no balance in it because we had an additional person in there that was acting as the tempo control, and the person that's usually doing that is Jorginho. He's dropping into the back line, and then Rice is, like, really far away from him, and I just was like, "Okay, what is this?" So, yeah, it was just one of those. John Donut says, Saliba 7.5. So yeah, I thought it was just like an average performance from today, above average, but not his best. Um, Odegaard, I thought had a good game. I don't put him for man of the match very often anymore because I just feel like it's a given. But I did put him in today because I thought he was one of the better players. Kept the ball ticking, calm under pressure when others were just like very much so giving hot potato. I wish he would have had more I think I wish he would have taken more opportunities to shoot in the box. Like there were sometimes in and around the box where I felt like we were trying to find the perfect pass instead of just like just hit it. And I'm just like him and Saka need to be shooting a little bit more, I think. But I thought he had a good game. I'm gonna give him like a 7, like and a half. Something like yeah, something around there. Not quite an 8, but an above like a good somewhere between like above average and good, closer to good, if that makes sense. Like I thought he was good. It's hard. Maybe I'm being harsh, but yeah, I think it's somewhere around like 7.5. Um, yeah, Batman says Jorginho created the 2 biggest chances in the game. Again, I think he had a good second half. Sammy says, how does he play a full 90 every game and never stop running? It's an underrated thing of his game that's never really thought about or talked about enough, I feel like, but nobody really cares what you do off the ball. They only care what you do on it. Tawana says Odegaard was trying these efforts, wasn't doing anything with it. Johnny says Odegaard 8 out of 10 conducted the ball really well. Pre-assist for Havertz superb. He had some really like when for Saka's first chance that he definitely should have buried. Odegaard had some good moves for that. He had some good passes into White in the first half, and then he had this really nice like um outside of the left boot, like he was back facing to the goal, and they passed it into him just first time left foot outside of the boot to Saka. There were some good moments in there that I thought like Odegaard would have got more plaudits had he had somebody like just had some wherewithal in the final third. There's just some like weird like decision making and poor passes into the box, but otherwise I thought he had a good game. I think he had a good game. Unknown C says still wish Odegaard would shoot more. His left foot is underrated. Yeah, I wish he would shoot more and not just like when he gets in the ozone, but from other angles and stuff like that because he has an underrated shot. He's one of our best strikers of the ball. He's one of the only players that we have that actually hit through it with their laces almost every single time. So, yeah, I wish he would shoot more, but he had a good game. Lucas says he's working so much, it's scary. Let's not talk about it too much. Let's just hope it continues. But yeah, thought he had a good game. So that was everybody in midfield, right? We got Georgie, we got Rice, and we got Odegaard. So let's talk a little bit about the front line. Um, let's talk about Gabriel Jesus first. The first time that I got isolated against Lamptey, and one of the only times that he did, he won the penalty, and that was like minutes, like maybe seconds after I was like, "Can we please just isolate somebody against one of these fullbacks and try to go beyond them?" Because genuinely, it was like everybody was just kind of like passing it backwards, passing it backwards. I was like, "We need our wingers to create moments for us by going past their marker and like doing something," and he did it. He did that, and we won the penalty, and that was great. Um, I need to go back and find the other moments that he did good things. I was really frustrated about the 2 headers, if I'm honest with you, and the shot that I mean, it was a good shot and it was a good save. I just feel like, okay. So he had a couple of good opportunities. I think he looked sharper today than he has in past games, which I expect because he's playing more minutes now. Um, I will say that I hope Martinelli is fit for the Bayern game. That's my hope. Gabriel Jesus is probably the backup option. Um, But I think we need Martinelli. He did some good things, Gabriel Jesus. So I'll give him a 7. I think that he was good. Yeah. Tawana says, "Run at your man, run down the byline, please, please, you damn wingers." I mean, I just wanna see, like, them create moments. That's the best way to create moments, is for our wingers to be able to isolate on the fullbacks and chef them up a little bit and, like, get into the half spaces, and I just felt like maybe we didn't have enough of those moments, maybe we didn't create them, but the times that we were around there was just kind of like Zinchenko and Jesus passing it back and forth to each other and then lose it, and I'm just like, "Okay." That what we doing? Johnny says, "Jesus, 7 out of 10, that shot near post, he created that first vital goal, stop the hate." So we gave him the same score, but you're telling me to stop the hate. You guys think like it's a hate because I didn't think he was as good as you do. It's not hate. He had 2 headers that were, like, very much so, like, poor. If Kai Havertz had did those, you guys would be on his head, like, be serious for 5 seconds. This is our number 9, one of our best attackers, and he has opportunities where he's not even getting it on target. He created the penalty, which I gave him credit for, but I also don't see all these other moments that you guys are talking about, so I gave him a 7 just like you did. Same score, but I hate him. Weird. Winning Ways says, "What's the difference between Ole and Arteta except that we play better football, but Ole got top 4 and finished second and swear he won a cup. Man, you wish they had Ole now." Not sure why this is relevant to a game where we just won 3-0 and we're top of the table right now. It just feels like very much so like off topic and more like, are you upset that Zinchenko played? Is that what it is? Like you're mad that Arteta played Zinchenko? We won 3-0. Like, rest, like, genuinely. Um, I don't know what to tell you. That's, like, a very weird comment when we just won 3-0. Very strange. Elliot says, "Jesus 7, he maketh me, lie down in green pastures. He letteth me besides the still waters. Thanks be to God." Mr. Appy says Ole didn't win anything. He also never challenged for the title. I mean, definitely like revisionist historian right there. I mean, Arteta has won a cup. Ole didn't. He finished second once, but like miles behind Man City, where they didn't really challenge. I mean, honestly, like, what are we talking about right now? We literally won the game. Like, seriously, like, it's so weird. But I think, yeah, it's mostly because, like, and I can see it now because you just commented, it's because he played Zinchenko. So somehow playing Zinchenko means that Arteta's not as good as Ollie. Is like if you can explain how you got there, that'd be great. But I also don't want to know how your mind works because that's just like insane to get that place. Like that's just crazy. But yeah, thanks for the comment. Let's talk about Saka. I want to know what you guys think. I'm gonna let you guys lead this one. I want you guys to lead this one for me. There's 330 of you guys in here. Please lead this one for me because like I said, like I don't actually think any like our wingers have had good performances, good solid like performances from like the beginning to the end. I think they've been very patchy and have lacked threat in a lot of our games recently. So, um Porto sounds weird because Trossard did score, but, like, beyond that, wasn't much. Saka was poor against, City. No real, like, Gabriel Jesus, I didn't think was good. Saka wasn't good in that game either. Luton, Reece Nelson wasn't great. And then who's on the other side? Trossard, I think, and he was okay, had a mixed performance. So, I just we haven't really had that consistent, like, dynamic winger performances week on week, and I think that's mostly because Saka and Martinelli haven't been fully fit, but I thought Saka's performance was beyond. If you took the penalty away, I genuinely feel like we would be giving him lower marks, but he did score the penalty, and that is important. Um, I'm really struggling with this one. Um, let's see. I wanna know what you guys are thinking. You guys can lead this one. The Dude Diary says, "Saka and Jesus were the same for me, both 5. Penalty goal assist isn't enough to impact my thoughts. They were both bang average." Sammy says, like, a 7. Lucas says, "That miss was crazy from Saka. He scored identical goal against Sevilla at home." Um, no one Denobi says, "Saka wasn't poor against City." I thought he was, and I think it was, like, pretty, like most people did think he was poor. If you thought he was good against City, fair enough. I thought he was pretty average, against him, if not poor, if I'm so, yeah, I think that miss was glaring. It was just yeah, so I don't know what to say. Tony says, "Saka played a rest game coming back to fitness. We weren't feeding him as often, even though he wasn't double teamed. I think he's not fit." Yeah, I mean, we're always talking about this, like, is he fit? He's not, like, what's going on? Um, but we're going into the run-in, and yes, we won, and it was great, and we deserved to win, and we were good today. I just can't see how we win anything without our best players having, like, moments. So today he had a moment, which is great, but, we'll see against Bayern. We'll see against Bayern. Um, I'm gonna give him a s I'm gonna give him a 7, which will seem harsh, but it's pretty much the same thing I gave to Jesus because I feel very similarly about their performances. Elliot says, "Saka 8, better today. He has been in weeks. Great to see, especially before Bayern." Tony says, "Saka scores that top bins if he's fit." Unknown C says, "I actually downgrade both Jesus and Saka to 6, to be honest, for those missed chances." So yeah. Lucas says, "We know when Saka is fresh, he isn't confident to beat his man." Johnny D says, "Saka 6 out of 10, would be a 5 without the penalty. God, he is so out of form. Confidence. He looks like Havertz 5 months ago. He doesn't look that bad. Let's not do that. He doesn't look that bad, but he doesn't look like himself." Legendary says, "Saka 7.5." So yeah, like somewhere around there. Um, yeah, it's a tough one because if you ever like say anything about Saka that's not he was amazing, I feel like people get very, like, offensive about it, offended, and I understand that because I feel the same way, like, when people don't think that Odegaard played well, but, like, genuinely, it's been enough games now where I'm like, "Okay, so how do we really feel about what's going on right now?" It doesn't mean that because I think my concern is that he's so important and so good and so, like, a part of the fabric of everything that we do well, that I want him to get to that point because I know we won't win anything if he's not playing that way. So it's more about me knowing how good he is and like, why doesn't he look like that versus me trying to convince people that he's shit because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand why he's not performing to the best of his ability because if he's not, I'm afraid we won't win anything because he's so important. So that's the difference. Like, I'm not trying to convince people that he's not good or anything like that. I know some people, that's what they do. Like, they want to convince you that the player is not any good. And I don't actually think we have very many players that I don't think are good. I actually think a lot of our players are fantastic. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. In terms of the subs, Tommy, um, Vieira, I got like 2 seconds. Martinelli, Trossard, I think out of all of them, like maybe Trossard had the biggest, impact. And he's probably the one that would give like the biggest score in terms of like I would give Trossard a like a 7, 7.5. I thought he was good when he came on. I did. I thought he won fouls. I thought he was calm, cool, collected. He scored a goal. Yeah, I thought Trossard was good. Everybody else, I don't really feel like giving, like, too much time to because I don't think they did much. Martinelli was also good when he came on. We just need him fit. We just need you to be able to get going, So, um, but yeah, I enjoyed the majority of the game, guys. I did. I enjoyed the majority of the game. Um, I think I forgot somebody. I forgot Kai. I knew I forgot something big. I was like, I forgot something big. Okay, so that's the one. So because we have to talk about him because I was like, I forgot something. He's man of the match and he was really good and he got a goal and assist, especially like towards like more of the second half. I thought he was really good. Um, Listen, Kai comes up with big goals. He may tackle himself and foul a lot, but I do think that he's added something to the front line that we've needed, like, a little bit of combativeness against the center backs, being able to drop in, also being in positions that a center forward would actually be in. So the goal, the assist for Trossard, I thought a good performance underlined by a GA. And so he's my man of the match. I'm gonna give him um I'm gonna give him a like I'm gonna give him a 9, just like I gave Saliba. Really good performance. Definitely needed from him. And so we go into the Bayern game with a player that we know for sure is probably gonna start up front. It's Havertz. It hasn't changed. I know some people were like, it has to change. Gabriel Jesus needs to get into this team at center forward, but I think his route back into the team is probably at left wing. Kai Havertz is playing really well right now, and it's not just aerial being good in aerially, like he's scoring goals. He's doing good things, So yeah, he's been good, Lucas says 9 for the goal and winning fouls important. Unknown C says Kai was quiet for the first 15 minutes, but after the goal, he seemed to get into the game more. 8. Dude said scored, assisted, and created a bunch of chances. He was clear. 10 today, and that striker position. Sample says Kai is playing his best football since joining the EPL. Has anyone noticed that he's even playing with a smile on since the Newcastle game away? He's definitely enjoying his football. Lucas says 9 for the goal. Winning fouls is at an important time. I read that one. Bass Fishing with Paul says, can't believe I'm saying this, but I want Man U to win tomorrow. Blech. But we need it. We need that. Johnny D says Donkey Kong, 9 out of 10, 2 assists and a goal. World class what? Who said that? Was it 2 assists? Where did he get the 2 assists from? I don't think he got 2 assists. I think he got 1 assist. Legendary says Kai 8.5. Blaze says Arteta fighting for the title with Kai Havertz, but he won't get credit for this. People thought Havertz would be a flop this season. So yeah. I get what you're saying, but I also feel like he that makes more sense for like maybe it's the way that you worded it, but I feel like um Kai Havertz is not like Nketiah, and I know this is gonna sound really harsh on Nketiah, but it's like he's even challenging for the title with Kai. Feels like you're saying like and like almost like with a handicap, you know? But I feel like what it more is that he's been able to change Kai and like bring him into a new era where he kind of looks more like the player that was probably supposed to come into the EPL. And Kai is not just usable, he's genuinely playing well. So I think it's the way that you worded it makes it more sound like he's playing with some sort of handicap. But I think the plaudits that Arteta should get is that he was able to take a player that nobody really rated and considered a flop into a genuinely good player playing center forward for Arsenal right now, which I totally agree with 100%. So, yeah, well done, Kai. Definitely the man of the match, standout performer, did the business. And I love that for us. So, yeah, but you guys, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's 280 of you guys in here. I don't even know what day it is. It's Saturday. It feels like I don't know what day it feels like, but it does not feel like Saturday. I am going to end this stream and go rewatch the US women because I really wasn't watching when our game was on, and also rewatch our game and then watch El Clasico. So there's some stuff going on, or not the Clasico, sorry, the Trafico. You guys will kill me for saying that. It's the El Trafico. I'm thinking of Clasico because I have to do a video for the Clasico. Do not kill me for that. Do not kill me for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I really hope you guys have a good weekend. You guys will catch me tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow. We will talk after Liverpool Man United because here's how it needs to go. Either Liverpool need to lose or drop points, or they need to slap the dog shit out of United. Those are the only two things that I want to see. That is it. Okay. So we will be there no matter what tomorrow after that game. And I will talk to you guys then. And then we'll roll on into the week and start getting ready for Bayern because, child, we are in the Champions League, baby. We are in the Champions League. Okay. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. And I love you guys. Comment, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.